thought they had a shot of altering anything have been pretty tied up now with these latest developments, Katie.
Ken Dilanian, listen to this. The Associated Press has just come out with an interview with Attorney General Bill Barr, where he said that the Justice Department has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the 2020 election. So it's not just Chris Krebs, who oversaw elections, saying that there's no fraud. It's not just Raffensperger in Georgia saying there's no fraud. It's now the president's attorney general, his quote-unquote protector, saying that there was no fraud. How much longer can this go on? How much longer can this be sustainable in terms of the apparatus surrounding the president? I know he only has a few days left, or a couple dozen days left, but it's still very detrimental and dangerous.
It is, Katie. It absolutely is. And I don't think it's ever going to stop in terms of Donald Trump and the things that he is saying, because he's raising money to fund a legal defense and also potentially a leadership PAC as a result of this. And it seems like he plans to take this this false story into his ex-presidency. But you're absolutely right. I mean, if 1/10 of the things that Donald Trump and his legal team have been saying were true, we would have seen FBI agents raiding polling places, and we haven't seen that. And now Bill Barr has made it explicit. Why? Because they have no evidence. Even though Barr broke with precedent and authorized his U.S. attorneys to investigate claims of fraud even before the election was certified, and that was widely criticized. But they have nothing. And what Chris Krebs has been saying, I think he's a public servant who has been doing yet another public service, even having left office, by going around and making the media rounds and pointing out. He was asked by Savannah Guthrie on the Today Show, how can you explain to skeptics why there was no fraud? And he said very simply, because 90% of the votes cast in this election had a paper backup. And every place where those paper ballots have been examined, including in that Georgia recount, they have found to have been consistent with the machine count. So those who believe that Dominion software somehow changed votes from Biden to Trump, that's just fantasy land, and it's manifestly disproven. And good public servants like Chris Krebs and now William Barr are essentially saying that. But Donald Trump is going to continue to repeat these baseless claims, I think, long into his ex-presidency.
He's increasingly on an island when it comes to this, but it's still very remarkable that Mitch McConnell hasn't come out and said anything. The leader of the Republican Party beneath Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, has said nothing about this, and there is widespread silence from a number of top Republican leaders in Congress. And if it hasn't been silence, a lot of them have come out and supported the president's efforts. Monica, are you hearing anything from the White House about any discomfort with all of this, or what the strategy is after Donald Trump leaves the White House?
No, and I'm struck, Katie, by what you just read in this new interview with the Attorney General. That statement essentially is the statement that Chris Krebs put out that got him fired, right? Saying that this was the most secure election in modern American history. And the president made no secret of linking the two, that he didn't like that statement so much that he decided to terminate him. Now, that's not something he's probably going to do with his attorney general, who has really been a close ally of his. But there may be some angry tweets coming this afternoon from the president. Hard to say. In terms of any bigger or larger strategy, the campaign has pursued these legal avenues, which have continued to really fizzle out. But they did launch and announce a new lawsuit today in Wisconsin, which has to do with a specific number of mail-in ballots. But you've already seen, Katie, recounts are really expensive. They did a $3 million partial one in the state of Wisconsin, which ultimately yielded former Vice President, now President-elect Joe Biden, 87 more votes than he had going into the recount. But you mentioned there, and Ken alluded to this, the fact that they continue to raise a staggering amount of money. They've sent nearly 500 campaign emails for this election defense fund that, if you read the fine print, 75% of it is actually going to the president's new leadership political action committee, Save America, so that he can take all of this when he leaves office and use that money for rallies, for travel, to pay political consultants as he continues to mull a run for 2024, which we know is being actively discussed right now and has certainly not been ruled out, Katie.
A bait and switch. And Ken, you made such a good point about paper ballots. That was one of the goals of CISA, was to make sure that there was confidence in the election, and they were doing this well ahead of time. They wanted it in for the 2018 midterms and then for some primaries to make sure that there were paper ballots that ensured that people could trust the vote. Also, I just want to take a step back and just consider that everybody, all of the people who have gotten death threats because they have disagreed with the president, it's not just the media, it's now officials in his own administration that he disagrees with. It is rival politicians that he disagrees with. It is his healthcare leaders, his healthcare officials like Dr. Fauci, who are working on ending the pandemic, that are getting death threats. He needs armed guards. I mean, it's just completely insane that we're living in a time where if you disagree with the president of the United States, you're going to get death threats and you're going to feel like your life is in danger just because you've said the truth or just because you're trying to help people. Ken Dilanian.